Solving by substitution. And next year, at this time next year, if you have a second semester, Math 20-1, they'll be like, do you remember when you solved algebraically systems? And you'll be like, no, I don't remember. That's exactly what I got today when we went through it with the 20s. But no, but you need to. It's important. And it does come back. Hopefully you don't have to wait till second semester to take Math 20. Right.
But then if you take it first round, you still have to wait possibly.
I know. One way or another. Yeah. Okay, so solving by substitution. So we're going to actually solve systems today. So remember, what is a system? What is a system? Two or more equations with two or more variables. So in the sake of, for us in grade 10, Math 10C, we are going to have two equations, two variables, and that's it. Okay? Okay. So we're going to learn how to actually solve it. So what does it mean to solve a system? Look behind me. Find the intersection. The solution is the intersection. So when we have two equations, what's the most important, most riveting thing about two lines? Where they meet. Oh, the definition is two or more equations. We're just going to have two equations. So just in Math 10C. Okay? Yeah, unless you did AP. Sometimes we do 3. Okay, here are the steps. I'm going to walk you through them, but let's just read through them before we do them. Choose the simpler equation. That's really important. Why make life harder than it needs to be? Some people like to learn the hard way. You might be that person. Hopefully in math, that's not the case. Some people do. They just need to learn from their mistakes. Choose the simpler equation and express one variable in terms of the other. So what I mean by that is we want to make one equation x equals or y equals. Express one in terms of the other. So we'll make an equation x equals or y equals. Or a equals or b equals, whatever the variables are. So isolate one variable. And isolate usually the one with a coefficient of 1. From there, surprise, surprise, we're going to substitute. Hence why this is called substitution, the method of substitution. So we're going to actually sub what we isolated into the other equation. So into the other equation. From there, life is good because we're going to have a single variable equation. And that is grade 9 math and less. See, this is your chance to have some grade 9 math today after the first 2 steps. And then the last thing is substitute the solution from step 3 into the equation in step 1 to find the other, blah, 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 blah. Basically, once we find an intersection has how many variables are in a point? 2, x and y. Once you find the x or the y, you need to go get the other part of the coordinate. Okay, so once you've solved for x, you still need to go get y at the end. And that's what they're saying in step 4. Okay, so let's look at this. All right. Now looking at this, is this a system? Yes, because we have 2 equations in this case, 2 or more, yeah. Now it's up to us. There's 2 things that would make this an easy route. I could either isolate for the x in the first equation, because whenever there's a coefficient of 1, it's easy to isolate for it. X has a coefficient of 1 in the first equation. Do you see that? Looking at this guy, x has a coefficient of 1. So we can isolate for the x in the first equation, or another easy, well, not as easy, we could isolate for y in the second. However, it's a negative not y or negative 1 coefficient, so x is probably the easier one. A positive 1 coefficient is easier to isolate for than a negative 1 because you'll have an extra step of dividing by negative 1. Okay, so that's why they're saying this. Solve the system by rewriting the first equation in x equals, because that's going to be the easiest one. So let's get this guy into x equals 4. Isolate x. If I move the 4y, what happens to it? It becomes a minus on the other side. We're subtracting it to the other side. Okay? So that was equation 1. I like to number my equations. First step done. Second step. Okay, so that was step 1. So now we're going to sub equation 1 into 2. So this is how we're going to do that. Okay. Equation 2 is 2x minus y equals 7. But we now have what x equals, right? What is x equal to? Negative 4y plus 17. And so I'm going to replace the x. And that's what I mean by subbing 1 into 2. I'm going to literally, because I isolated x here, I'm going to put it into the other equation now. Instead of writing x, what is x equal to? Negative 4y plus 17. We're subbing in. We're replacing that x. Take what I isolated and put it into the other equation. Substitute that variable out for what it equals. So now this is grade 9, because now we have an equation with just one variable. We can solve for that variable. Okay, first step, how would I isolate for y? Distribution, negative 8y plus, so we're distributing here, 17 times 2, 34, and then minus y equals 7. I'm going to zoom in for you a little bit. So collecting like terms, negative y minus y. This is what? Grade 9 math, right? Yeah. And then? You already got the answer? What do you do next? Oh, negative 9y equals what? Yeah? Yeah. Yes. So we get negative 9y equals 7 minus 34, negative 20. 7. Divide both sides by negative 9. Y is equal to 3. Now you've done all this work. And what can happen very often is you're like, oh, finally I'm done. But are you finished? No, we're only half finished. We got the y, we still need the x. We need it's an intersection. We need the x and the y. But most of the hard work is done. Because how can I get x? Subbing the y into the equation. I now know what y is. It doesn't matter which one I sub it into. I can go to these original ones. I can even use my new one I made. Wouldn't this be the easiest? Because it's x equals. So, and we want x. So find x by, so sub y equals 3 into, I'm going to use the new equation 1, which was x equals negative 4y plus 17. It doesn't matter. You can plug it into any one of those equations and you can still find x. But this is probably the easier one. Negative 4 times 3, or negative 12 plus 17. is 5. Okay? We're not going to do B. So the last thing you need to do, and this will be on your test, your quiz, and your unit exam, it'll say solve and check. You need to verify. We always verify with the originals. Okay, although I rearranged this formula, what if I made a mistake in my rearranging? So if I check with my rearranged formula that was incorrect, it'll tell me I'm right. That's why we always check with the original equations. Okay? So let's check. So our solution was 5 and 3. X is 5, y is 3. And so we need to check in both original equations. First one was, where are you? X plus 4y equals 17. So x, 5 plus 4 times 3. Does that equal 17? Yes. Check. And the other equation was 2x minus y equals 7. 2 times 5 minus 3. Is that 7? Yep. Okay, you can check with your graphing calculator. Actually, I'll show you really quickly. Grab your graphing calculators. So, what I mean by you can check graphically, like graphing them, making them both y equals. The other way is you can store your letters. You know how to do that? Yeah, okay. So x was 5. So 5, store x. 3, store alpha 1, y. So you store your x and y. And then you can just type in x plus 4, y. 17. 2x minus alpha 1, y. 7. Okay? So we've done that before. Many times. Not easy. Turn the page. You're getting to the end. It makes it difficult to write.
So at the beginning, when our boys like we wanted to steal,
Okay. So, is there an easy route? No. Not really. Because nobody has a coefficient of 1. Okay. So, it doesn't matter. Here's our first equation. Here's our second equation. Who do you want to isolate for and in which equation? Let's isolate x. Sure? Do number 1? Yeah, I agree. I think 1 will be a little bit easier, just because there's no constant. So we're going to rearrange for which one? For x or y? X. Okay. So let's make x equals in 1. In equation 1. Doesn't matter. Oh, sorry. Got ahead of myself. Plus 3y equals 0. So isolating x, first step. Yep. Minus 3y, we want to move the 3y, so we're subtracting it. 4x equals negative 3y, and then divide by 4. Okay, so we rearranged 1. So that means we're subbing 1 into, into. You could also call one chocolate and one caramel, and then sub the caramel into the chocolate. No, somebody said that last year. I think that was Hyan Tran. Yeah. Something. Anyway, caramel into how do they get the caramel into the you know, the caramel bar? They're like the biggest mystery ever. Nobody knows the answer.
No one knows the answer. Wow. Isn't everything?
Caramel. And then they put chocolate on top. Not really. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so here we go. Am I replacing the X or the Y? The X, because I made X equals, what is X equal to? It's equal to negative 3 over 4y. Because we have X equals, I'm going to replace the X. Because X is equal to negative 3 over 4y. Okay, this is fun. What's 8 times negative 3 over 4? Negative 6. Yeah, because 8 divided by 4 is 2. 2 times negative 3. Or you can type that in if you're not sure. Which is nice, that we don't have a fraction anymore. Negative 6 minus 9. Negative 15y. One more step. Divide by negative 15. So y is not 5 over negative 15. Negative 1/3. Reduce your fractions. So first step was rearrange one equation. Second step, sub in. Third step, solve for that, which we did. So fourth step, now that we have y equals negative 1/3, what do we need? Nope. Before we can check, we're only half done. X. We need X. So, how do I get X? Hello? Thank you. Sub y equals negative 1/3 into any equation. I'm going to do the easy one, the one we already made. Right? The x equals negative 3 over 4 times y. Let's use that one. It doesn't matter which one. Oh, in your check. In your check. We're not at the check. See, your arm gets sore with this homework. FYI. Lots of writing. It's fun though. No? I'm crazy, I know. Negative 3 over 4 times negative 1/3. First of all, two negatives will make a positive. What happens with the 3's? One's on the numerator, one's on the denominator. They actually cancel each other out. So we're going to be left with 1 over 4. Okay? If you want, you could also multiply straight across with fractions, right? So you could have also just gone straight across, which is 3 over 12, which is 1 over 4. If one's on the numerator, one's on the denominator, they cancel each other out. Yay, x is 1/4. So we need to actually add an extra step. Well, because we didn't say it here. They missed step 5, which is always verify. Darn. Right? But I'm not going to give you a question that just says solve unless it's a multiple choice. If it's a written, it's always going to say solve and check. Here's the beauty about this stuff. You should be able to walk away from that question knowing if you got it 100% correct or if you made a mistake. It's either it's going to check correctly or it's not going to work. 100%. No, if you check it and left side doesn't equal right side, that means you made a mistake somewhere in here.
Okay, but what if you check it wrong and
Then that's a whole nother level of issues. Your check should be like, you could just type that in your CAD. 3y. Oops. Okay. So we need to check both equations. Yes, we do.
Oh, I'm just writing my 4 as y.
4 times a quarter plus 3 times negative a third equals 0. Is that true? Well, what's 4 times a quarter? 1. 4 1/4 is 1. Yeah, 4 quarters. So a whole. 3 times negative. So 1 plus negative 1 is 0. Yay, that checks. 0 equals 0. Yes. So far, so good. I don't know if that's kindergarten. I don't think there. It's cat. I don't think there's kindergarten. Is there kindergarten math? Like counting numbers. Okay, let's do this in our head. What's 8 times a quarter? 5 8/4. 2. 2 negatives will make a plus. 9 1/3. 3. Guess what that equals? 5. Okay, so you're going to get a mark for your check. You don't show your check, you lose a mark. Okay? Easy mark. This is?
Not like this class. Or like this
No.
Not this class.
Sorry.
This class.
Okay. I like art class. Okay. One more. One more. Okay. Let's look at this guy. Is there an easy variable to isolate?
The variable like to be isolated. Wait, B.
B in the first one. Yeah. Now, you might want to take these, like both equations, and simplify them first before we do any like rearranging, because they're pretty ugly with those brackets. And trying to sub in. I know. I'm such a bully. That they're ugly? Oh. Okay. Let's make these a little nicer. Okay. First equation, I need you with me. We're almost there. 10a minus 15 plus b equals 5. Or, you can leave it there if you want. We know we're going to rearrange for b here, right? Because that one has a coefficient of 1. So let's do that right now. What can I do first? Well, we want b by itself. Let's add, because b is positive, so let's keep it positive. And that's who we want by itself. 10a plus b equals 20. Now what? Move minus 10a. Subtract the 10a over. Okay, now here's the thing. We can go straight and sub in b into the other equation, but then you're having double sets of brackets, because you'd have to put it inside that set of brackets. It's pretty ugly. I know, it's so rude. So let's simplify this guy a little bit before I sub in what b equals to. So here's my equation 2, equation 1, equation 2. So before I sub in what b equals, let's simplify this. You can do that. Yeah. Except for you only have to do it for one equation. Seems totally the same. Okay, we want to bring in the negative 2. So what is negative 2 times b? Negative 2b. Negative 2 times negative 4 plus 8. Okay, so at this point, we don't have to do any more work unless you want to. If you want to simplify this further, you can, but are we ready to substitute for b? Sure, we got rid of the brackets. I just wanted to get rid of those brackets so we don't make a mistake with our substitution. We could have subbed, but... So we're replacing which variable? B. We're going to replace b with what? Negative 10a. So whenever you replace a variable, put it in brackets, especially if it has a coefficient. Plus 8 equals 20. So we're going to replace b with what b equals, and b is equal to negative 10a plus 20. So we're subbing equation 1 into equation 2. Right? This is equation 1. 1 into 2. Can you see that all right? Yeah? Okay. So now what? Simplify it further, get rid of these brackets. Negative 2 times negative 10a. 20a. Negative 2 times 20. Negative 40 plus 8 equals 20. So now it's just grade 9 math. Isolate, get all the constants together, get all the a's together, and then isolate a. 26a, negative 40 plus 8. Negative 32 equals 20. Really, already? (26a) equals 52. What does a equal? What does a equal? 2. Did you get 2? Now we need b. Does it matter which equation I sub a equals 2 in? No. Is there an easy choice? Yes. B is equal to negative 10 times 2 plus 20. This is the easy choice, right? That equation 1 I already rearranged. No, we'll always do improper. You can have a fraction as an answer, but you're not going to have 1 and 1/3. In high school, like, we never write mix. Are you kidding me? They're so useless. What does b equal? 0. Negative 20 plus 20. Okay, and then if this was a test, I have to verify. Now, when I verify, what do you use? The original equations. So we have to go all the way back to 5 times 2 times. So I'm using these guys to verify. Yep. 2 times 2 minus 3 plus 0 has to equal 5. So 5 times 4 minus 3. What's 4 minus 3? 1. No, I probably should have just got rid of it. You don't have to, no. 5 equals 5. 6 times a minus 2 times b minus 4. So 0 minus 4 has to equal 20. 6 times 2. 12 minus 2 times, what's 0 minus 4? Negative 4. And negative 2 times negative 4 turns into plus 8. Does that make 20? Yes. Okay. So the last question that's given. So we're done now. We're verified. Everything checked out. We can trust our answers. Right? Yay, we got 100% on that question, as long as I showed all my work. Now, here's a system with 3 equations. Are you going to be tested on that? No, this is an extension. That's why it says extension. If you're an AP, then we probably do it, but no need to worry about it here. Is it the same sort of idea? Yeah. Could you solve it? You totally could. You're totally capable of it. Because z is equal to 2x. So wherever I see a z, guess what I could put? 2x. So that first equation, I could just make this 2x. Right? And then simplify it. So 4x minus 3y. You don't have to write this down. And then, now you can have this 1, 2, 3. So now you can just work with these two. These two have 2 variable equations. Now you can just do substitution with those 2. So you can make one of them x equals or y equals, and then sub it into the other. So are you capable of it? Yes. Are we going to do that? No. Okay? Not on your test. So practice time is 1 to 2ac, so 1a and c, 2ac, yeah, 3 of them, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What happened here? Oh, everything got moved. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? All right, so I can't stress enough. Practice, practice, practice. It gets easier the more you practice.